If you suffered a loss or read of people suffering a loss, one thing that you may have seen mentioned quite often is the 5 stages of grief. It's a model named after Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, a Swiss-American psychiatrist commonly credited with creating the stage-based model. It defines the 5 emotions that a person feels going through grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. GRIS is an atmospheric, artistic platformer developed by Nomada Studios where you play as GRIS, a girl finding her way through loss, grief, and sorrow. Nomada uses the 5 stages of grief with color to show GRIS's journey to acceptance. Few games have made me feel the way I did playing through GRIS. To be honest, I don't think any game has hit me as hard as GRIS did. This is a major spoiler warning. While I've told you what the general story of GRIS is, everyone interprets media differently. As such, there are many differing opinions on the story, and it's a beautifully crafted game, so I would suggest you experience it before watching this video. The intro of GRIS is impactful. You start singing beautifully on the hand of a statue, but suddenly you lose your voice. You fall to your knees as the statue starts crumbling, the cracks joining up to destroy everything underneath you. You fall not in a state of panic, but rather motionless. GRIS has just fallen into denial. The world around her is void of color. She's on her knees looking at the ground, not wanting to move. All hope is lost, everything is meaningless, but we have to continue, and so we push forward. GRIS walks slowly, with no intent, falling back to her knees whenever the player tries an action. Slowly but surely, GRIS starts to run. She can jump, but she still has no voice. She walks forward, birds flying in the back, characters walking with us, but not a single soul that GRIS can talk to. This is symbolic of denial. You don't want to talk to anyone, you don't want interaction, you just want to be left alone. That is until you come across the same hand from the beginning. GRIS floats in the air and red fills the world around her, a color that is symbolically used as a way to convey anger, aggression, and danger. GRIS is now in the anger stage. She still moves forward, however the world around her is now filled with different shades of red, which can be thought of as her different levels of anger. Some thoughts and some feelings probably make GRIS feel angrier than others. It's also here that we see the first of many obstacles in the way of GRIS. Periodically, she's met with a strong red wind akin to a storm. It covers your screen and pushes GRIS back if she's out in the open. This red storm could be thought of as the anger that pushes GRIS away from everyone, the anger that isolates her. GRIS learns to manifest her anger to allow her to become an unmovable object. The red storm pushing GRIS back, it's nothing for her anymore as she faces ahead first and moves on. She also learns to unleash that anger at the right moment so that she can break through floors and solve puzzles that only allow her to move further forward. This is a parallel to the way that Elizabeth describes anger. The more you truly feel it, the more it will begin to dissipate and the more you will heal. As she approaches the end of the anger stage, in front of her, GRIS now has two open hands instead of just one. She stands in the palm of one of them, floats, and green fills the world around her. Color theory and the psychology behind color is a complicated beast, but green can be thought to positively affect thinking, relationships, and physical health. It's also thought to relieve stress and help heal. Bargaining is described by Elizabeth as a temporary truce. What if I devote the rest of my life to helping others? Then can I wake up and realize this has all been a bad dream? Green is the perfect color here, but as you navigate this stage, you realize that the world is not just all green. It's a combination of red and green. Everyone deals with loss differently. The 5 stages of grief aren't at all true for everyone, and for those for whom it is true, there certainly is no order to the stages of grief. We give them order for simplicity, but in your head, one minute you could be in bargaining only to find yourself back in anger the next minute. This is what Nomada Studio shows by merging red and green. GRIS is in the bargaining stage, but not out of the anger stage. It's here that we meet our first interactable character. They're hesitant at first, but GRIS learns that they like apples. She uses her anger to drop apples for them, something that they love, and as we drop more apples, our bond grows, eventually allowing our new friend to give us a star. This star is something that is needed to gain a new ability. We also encounter green blocks that change based on time and red blocks that change based on GRIS's jumps. The green blocks can be thought of as the bargaining blocks, the what ifs, and if onlys that we have no control over. What if I had just waited a few more seconds for the block to be a different shape? I wouldn't have fallen. The red blocks are the anger blocks. Remember that GRIS learned to manifest the anger to move forward, and similarly here, GRIS can jump to change the shape of the block to move forward. After learning the double jump skill, GRIS faces her first threat. A collection of black birds, possibly a collection of bad thoughts that combine to create one giant black bird. It's unclear whether this is a raven, but in general, black-colored birds are thought to represent a bad omen. Here, this bird screeches with all her might to push GRIS back, but what does GRIS do? She has just learned to manifest her anger, she has just learned to jump higher, both of which she learned during anger and bargaining, and she uses these to push the bad thoughts away. However, GRIS doesn't simply push them away, she uses the screeching of the bird to her advantage to traverse a larger than normal gap. She then uses the screeching to ring a bell, which disorients the bird, allowing GRIS to escape. As she climbs higher, she again reaches the hand of a statue, but this time the statue has a face. The face is half destroyed, but it is a face nonetheless, and it's now that we realize this is the statue of her mother. GRIS jumps into the palm. She floats, and blue fills the world around her. Some people would say that depression feels like you've given up. No matter how hard you try, you feel like you're not going to get better, so what's the point in doing anything? It feels like being in a dark hole or deep underwater. It's a weird sense of peace and calmness, and when we look at the color blue, that's exactly the emotion it brings forth. Blue is a color representative of calmness and relaxation, but it's also a color that creates feelings of sadness. It's a color that research has found to reduce a person's heart rate, creating a sleepy effect and subsequently lowering the body temperature. This is my favorite stage in the entire game. The The world is shrouded in shades of blue, which much like anger show the different levels of depression. The stage isn't completely blue, as red and green both blend into the environment. The beauty of the stage though is that it's mostly taking place underwater. In addition to learning to manifest their anger and jump higher, in the stage GRIS learns to swim. It's fastest that she's ever been able to move, and thus she's able to explore the depths of the stage, the depths of her depression. This is a metaphor for how easy and quick it is to fall into depression, and once you go down, it's quite hard and disorientating to come back up. Playing through the stage, I felt confused with every turn and every cavern I went through. The deeper I went, the darker it got, and I found myself wanting to find the path back as quick as I could. GRIS doesn't have that luxury. Swimming back up will only put her back at square one, so she is forced to go deeper, and it's here that she encounters a red turtle. The turtle is quite a symbolic animal and holds a lot of spiritual meanings. It's thought to be an animal of wisdom, patience, determination, and protection. As GRIS swims deeper, the turtle lights the path for her, leading her out of the water and thus out of depression. Elizabeth mentions that anger is strength, and it can be an anchor. During the anger stage, you can feel anger towards anyone, but by doing this, the anger becomes a bridge, a connection from you to the person or thing that you're feeling angry towards. The anger is just another indication of the intensity of your love. GRIS has learned to manifest her anger as a turtle, a symbol of protection. It's this turtle, her anger, that helps her to escape depression. Once GRIS is out of the water, she finds the statue again. A statue that is mostly whole apart from a pathway in her abdomen. Coincidentally, GRIS has to go through this pathway to get to the palm of her hand. To me, this felt symbolic of birth, and once GRIS reaches the palm of her mother's hand, she stares up at her face. Her mother's eyes open as GRIS floats. GRIS lands back on her feet. She tries to sing, but as soon as she does this, the statue crumbles, and darkness envelops GRIS as she tries escaping upwards, only to be chased back into depression by the black bird. GRIS is now swimming through the same caverns that she escaped from. The bird has taken the shape of an eel as it chases you, trying to consume you, trying to bring you down to everything you've escaped from. The eel disappears, but now GRIS is in complete darkness. Her path only illuminated by flowers as she once again has to traverse the deep caverns to find her way out. GRIS is now in the acceptance stage, but there's no color to fill the world. Instead, GRIS is in darkness. Getting to the point where you accept the loss of someone is neither quick nor easy. It takes time. It takes a lot of time, and it's different for everyone. GRIS is navigating through pitch black with just a little bit of light here and there. It's scary for her and for us. This feeling of being scared is perfectly executed by Nomada. Up until now, the caverns have been slightly illuminated, but this is the longest stretch that we've gone without any light. And just as we process this thought, the eel, her darkness, lashes out and the chase continues. GRIS swims rapidly upwards, but is of no avail. The eel is fast, the darkness is just moments away from consuming GRIS when suddenly, the same red turtle emerges from inside the eel, destroying it and protecting GRIS. GRIS has just used her anger in a fit of rage to push her dark thoughts away. She has gone from denial to anger to bargaining to depression, and finally is in the last of the 5 stages, acceptance. However, this stage is not like the previous ones, where before the world was filled with color, here the world is illuminated by the moon shining a yellow glow on everything. The moon, accompanied by fireflies and butterflies, reveals parts of the world that were once invisible to GRIS. Acceptance is described as accepting the reality that our loved one is physically gone and recognizing that this new reality is the permanent reality. What Greece is seeing now, areas of the world that she couldn't see before, is her opening her eyes and seeing the new world around her. Acceptance can be further described as the new norm with which we must learn to live. As Greece traverses further into the stage, she stumbles across areas where she has to be upside down to progress. The upside down areas are the new reality. We don't like it. Greece doesn't like it, but she must learn to live with it. While navigating the upside down areas, Greece discovers her voice. She can finally sing again, and now she uses her voice to bloom flowers around her, slowly inching towards the end. We see a use of all the colors. Greece is using everything she learned in the previous stages to solve puzzles here. For the first time in her journey, it seems as if Greece isn't blocked by anything. She's confidently moving around, wanting to be better, wanting to return to her normal life. As she reaches the end of her journey, Greece sings, and her world flips upside down. The world has returned to its original state, and Greece is ready to move on. The path for her is laid out. She climbs, but before she can go anywhere, the darkness emerges yet again. Greece's negative thoughts are here to pull her back down, and now the darkness takes the form of Greece. The final thing holding Greece back from moving on is herself. The darkness consumes all the color around her, and Greece finds herself falling yet again, just like how she did in the start. She can do one of two things. Either allow herself to fall back down and start this journey again, or swim up and push through like she has through every stage. Greece swims. Remnants of her mother's statues are all around her. She surfaces and finds herself climbing the broken pieces of the statue until eventually she finds the palm of mother's hand. Standing in the middle, she sings. As beautifully as ever, her voice slowly mending her mother's statue together. But the darkness isn't going to let her go so easily. The statue is becoming whole, but the darkness is rising, consuming everything, including Greece. The statue is whole. Greece is enveloped by the darkness, but her mother sings, a voice much more powerful than Greece, a voice that pushes the darkness away to save her daughter. Greece sings, harmonizing with her mother, bringing color back into the world around them, thus completing the journey of Greece. With a tear from her mother and a kiss from Greece, she is finally ready to move on. Whether or not you've experienced loss, whether or not you believe in the 5 stages of grief, loss and grief are something that no one ever comes back from the same. Life as we know it changes, and Nomada perfectly showed this with GRIS. It's a beautiful metaphor for the messiness of the brain when going through something like this. If you stuck with me for this long, then I thank you. Go tell that one person you love them, because life can change in an instant.